Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is Station. I am ready for the event.
Good morning, America. This is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is ABC News. How do you read us?
Hi, good morning. I hear you loud and clear. How do you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear as well. So let's start with, you know, you're going to break a record, and I know records are made to be broken, but how significant is this record in terms of what we learn about human beings and our endurance for long-term space travel?
Well, hey, Gina, good morning, and welcome back. It's great to have you with us on the International Space Station once again. You know, it's an honor to be able to be considered one of the people that's going to have spent a year in space. And so, yeah, for sure, this record will soon be broken again. And that's great because that means we're continuing to press forward. And I think this is really significant in the sense that it teaches us that the human body can endure, it can adapt. And as we prepare to push back to the moon and then from then onward onto hopefully Mars and further on in the solar system, I think it's really important that we learn just how the human body learns to adapt and how we can optimize that process so that we can improve our performance as we explore further and further out from Earth.
As a physician, what changes have you noticed in your body? I knew some astronauts that they got taller in space. Did you sleep better? Did you sleep worse? I mean, how have you documented your year in space for yourself physically?
Yeah, you know, we actually just measured ourselves the other day for our return trip because you got to make sure you still fit in your spacesuit, your pressure suit, and your seat in the Soyuz. And it looked like I had grown for about 3 centimeters. Unfortunately, that is not a permanent change. You know, essentially your discs in your spine tend to expand a little bit because of that lack of gravitational pressure. And so that change goes back to your normal within about 2 weeks of getting back to Earth. You also see a lot of fluid shifts up here. Again, because of the lack of gravity, a lot of the fluid that normally sits in our legs will tend to come up in your body. And essentially, you know, you get a little bit of more fluid in your face and your upper body. You adjust quite a bit in your first month here, but that tends to be a permanent change while you're here. And again, once you go back to Earth, all the fluid redistributes itself within the body, and you pretty much go back to your normal appearance within a couple weeks.
Talk to me about sleeping in space. I know they've made changes in the space station with lighting. What is sleep like on the space station? Better, worse? How much better or worse did you sleep up there?
Well, you know, for me, it's been wonderful, to be honest. Again, I've had a 25-year Army career, so I've been really rough on my body between a lot of helicopter landings, a lot of military jumps and skydives. I've done a lot to essentially earn some of the bumps and bruises that I've had in my body. And so the pressure that you feel in bed while you're on Earth is completely gone up here. And so you're completely decompressed, especially your neck and your spine. And so for me, that's been wonderful. You tend to just float in your sleeping bag. Your sleeping bag is really more to keep you in place so that you're not going around bumping everything in the middle of the night. And as far as the lighting, it's perfectly dark in our crew quarters. I turn off my computer and it's dark. There is kind of a permanent sound on station, and that's because of all the life support equipment that we have that has to run permanently. But honestly, that makes for some great white noise. So I've actually slept better in the last 10 months than I have in a long, long time.
We talked to Laurel O'Hara, who's coming up next month, September, and she's looking forward to giving you a hug and bringing some treats. What advice are you going to be giving Laurel before she launches? What tips are you giving her?
Yeah, I'm obviously super excited to see Laurel, both because she's a great friend and also because it means it's time to go home. But yeah, Laurel's going to do fantastic. I mean, we all get fabulous training. We have an amazing support team on the ground that just gets us so ready for this mission. So I know she's going to knock it out of the park when she's up here. And I would just tell her to really just take the time to enjoy it. Just like any job, it's really easy to lose yourself in the work and focus so much on getting it right and doing a great job, which obviously is very important up here. But every once in a while, you just got to force yourself to look up, or in this case, look down the window, out of the cupola, and just enjoy the beautiful view. And really just take a moment to appreciate how blessed and how lucky we are to have this opportunity and enjoy where we are.
Part of what I think is interesting to people about life on the space station is your food. Do you get much choice in food? What were your favorites? What hacks did you find up there for your diet?
Yeah, we actually get really great food. The one downside is that we have to rehydrate most of it. Some of it comes in the same little green packets that you see in military MREs or cans, especially some of the international partners tend to have a lot of their food in cans. But it all generally tastes delicious. But what I'm really, really looking forward to is just fresh food. I'm actually looking forward to a salad, not necessarily because it's healthy, but just having fresh, green food is going to be fantastic. Every once in a while, in the resupply vehicles that come up, we'll get fresh fruit. And especially the citrus, because it keeps well, we tend to get a lot of citrus. You'll spend just as much time smelling the peel of an orange as you do enjoying the orange itself. And that's just because of that freshness and that smell of home that you get for those few minutes.
I think some astronauts that I've spoken to, I'm going to jump over to spacewalks because that really is a highlight of anyone's career. Can you take me back on what that first moment was, the first time you stepped outside?
Yeah, it's amazing that it's been so long already. And I was blessed to be able to do 3 spacewalks myself and then take part in 8 spacewalks total while we've been up here. And it's almost just as neat to watch your friends go out the door as it is to go out the door yourself. And to a large degree, to be honest, it's a little more nerve-wracking because you're responsible for putting them in the suit, making sure that everything's done properly so that they're safe out there. So in some ways, I felt a lot more pressure when I was putting my buddies in the spacesuit to go outside than I did when I was going outside myself. But I'll tell you, the views are just out of this world, literally. And that's because you have your full peripheral vision. When you're looking out of the cupola, it's an absolutely beautiful view, but you're generally limited to just kind of looking down. Whereas when you're outside, the helmet just allows us to see a little bit wider than 180. And so you're able to have an unobstructed view of the Earth and the universe. And it just makes you really appreciate how tiny we are, where we are, also how fast we're going. I mean, the movement, you just appreciate it so much more when you're outside. So absolutely, I would agree. Those 3 spacewalks for me were the highlight of this year up here.
I'm trying to remember, for your first spacewalk when you went out, were you in light or darkness?
Oh, boy. I don't remember exactly. I think for the first few minutes we were in darkness, and then it became light. And I was fortunate that I felt pretty comfortable outside pretty quickly. Again, going back to that amazing training that we have, and we have the neutral buoyancy lab. So it really felt like I was doing a run in the pool. And so I felt pretty comfortable out there, and I really, you feel like a little kid, just in the weightlessness, enjoying that view, and appreciating that you're in your own little private spaceship in your spacesuit and in that environment. And so I had a few minutes to what we call adapt outside and essentially get used to the suit. And I really just kind of spent it all looking all around and doing all sorts of movements because I was just having so much fun.
So it sounds like if you kept a journal, I'm going to move on to that. The spacewalks would have been a highlight in your journal of my year in space. Did you kind of journal your year in space? What did you do to document that for you and for your family?
Yeah, I actually, sadly enough, I didn't at first. And then just recently, within the last few months, I have started to do that because I realized my memory wasn't as good as I thought it was. And that's just, again, because we do so much up here. We're so busy. that you quickly start to forget some of the things you did early on. So I started to keep a journal. I think it'll be super valuable down the road, and just to be able to look back and appreciate what this experience meant to us. Hopefully I'm able to take part in many more missions. Well, at least one or two more. We'll see what's in store. But the reality, I think the thing that I'll remember the most are my crewmates. I've been lucky enough to fly with 4 different crews by the time I leave, and that's been fantastic. The teams that we've worked with on the ground have been phenomenal. So like a lot of things in life that have tremendous experiences, what you end up really remembering the most are the people, and that's been the case absolutely up here.
You sort of led into my next question. As a first mission, this one was really pretty epic. What could possibly be better than this? What would your dream mission be, your next one?
Well, I think what I plan on doing, at least, is really trying not to focus on that. I think it's really going to be important to go back, go home, and reconnect with my family first and foremost, because a year is a long time, and I've missed a lot of major milestones for our family. So I think I'm going to focus on that. And then the reality is, I have friends that are going to be coming up here and then going around the moon. And so my focus is going to be to help the team prepare for those missions, do everything I can to contribute to their success. And then once I get assigned down the road, we'll see what that mission holds. But I'll start to focus on that mission when the time comes. But there's a lot of things in between now and then that I think need to be a priority before I start thinking about that.
It's been interesting watching your crew on orbit because you make it a priority to talk to school kids. I think you're promoting education in STEM for children. Out of all the kids groups that you've spoken with, what questions do you remember that really set you thinking?
I'm laughing because I actually had a meeting just yesterday with some kids, cutest kids you've ever seen. They were all, a lot of them, I should say, were in the 4 to 6 year old group. So I had 2 questions that I really loved. One was, had I seen any T-Rexes in space? And unfortunately, I had to say no to that. And then the other one was if I had seen any mermaids, because I had described what looking at the ocean is like from up here. And so, unfortunately, I had not seen either T-Rexes or mermaids. But I just love the fact that we can enjoy the kids' curiosity and hopefully inspire them to great things later on in the future.
I think it's interesting because one thing that the space station has proven to be very valuable with in the past, hopefully we have a slow hurricane season this year, but Earth observations from space and what it teaches us about our planet. What do you think you've learned about our planet from observing Earth for a year?
Well, yeah, absolutely. You get a very different perspective being up here. The biggest one is how unique our planet is, right? You look out at the rest of our solar system, and all you see in general is darkness. And I think we just have to appreciate how special our planet is and do our best to ensure that future generations are able to enjoy our planet just as much as we have been able to. The other thing that you really appreciate is the fact that there are no borders and the fact that we as humanity can do amazing things. We've had humans in space now for 23 continuous years, and I don't think most people really appreciate how difficult this is and what a team effort it really is to have this achievement. And so the fact that you can look down and say, man, if we work together, we can do some amazing things. So all those things, they kind of sound philosophical, but just you learn to appreciate the fact that you're living it every day while you're up here.
You're coming home in another month. Tell me what the process is for returning home. You just don't hop in a car and drive home. Is your body monitored, and what is the adjustment like for returning to Earth from space?
Yeah, so kind of going back to your previous question, again, there's only been a handful of us that have been up here for this long, and so they try to capture as much science as they can, as quickly as they can, because our bodies are just so good at readapting. So as soon as we land, again, I came up on a Russian spacecraft, so I'll also go back and we'll land in Kazakhstan, and there'll be a NASA team there ready to fly me back to Houston. But right away, they get you in this medical tent and they start doing testing from about 10 minutes after you land. And we gather as much data as we can before we get on the NASA plane, which then flies us back to Houston. And within about 24 hours of landing, you're landing back in Houston and seeing your family for the first time. After about 6 months in space, most people have a little bit of a hard time with their vestibular system and their equilibrium. So after 12 months, that can be a challenge even more so. Although some people have done amazingly well. So I'm not sure how it'll be for me. I'm preparing for the fact that it might be a challenge and that it might take a couple days before I'm somewhat normal. But the reality is it's going to take anywhere from 2 to 6 months of really intense rehab to get back to my normal. And that's just part of the process.
You've talked about missing salads, but coming home, what are you looking forward to most? Your family, I'm sure, a shower, a walk on the beach. TikTok for me what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, well, I think you just named them all. Absolutely, time with my family. We've been able to stay in touch really well. We get phone calls. We get video conferences every once in a while. But there's nothing like being there in person. And so just being able to reconnect with my kids and my wife, that's going to be fantastic. Being outside, again, we get fantastic views up here, but we're limited to the space of about a 5-bedroom home. And so it's a very small space, to be in for a full year. And the other thing for me especially is that I've only been exposed to about 6 other humans at a time for the past year. And so it's going to be a little bit of a readaptation to be around crowds and big groups of people. So I'm looking forward to slowly but surely getting to see all my friends and reconnecting with them too.
And in closing, are there any favorite gymnastic tricks you've learned as you've mastered zero-G up there? Anything you care to show us?
Well, I think one of the hardest things for people to really understand is the fact that you just don't have a sensation of up and down, right? So if I jump up on the sidewall here, my body quickly adjusts to the fact that now this is my up and down. And so you might see me essentially standing on the wall, but it's amazing how quickly your brain adapts to just reference this now being up and down for me. And so something as simple as this for me is just super cool to appreciate, again, how adaptable our bodies and our brains are. So yeah, of course, every once in a while we'll zoom around the space station as fast as we can, especially as you get more comfortable. But there's so much sensitive equipment up here. You really try to take it easy to make sure that everything stays where it's supposed to be.
Frank Rubio, thank you so much for your time today. Godspeed.
All right, Gina, thanks again. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you to all participants from Good Morning America Station. We're now resuming operational audio communications.